In order to dissolve the ego, we must first have the realization that I am functioning from the ego. This is the first step. And then the next step is I don't want to be controlled by the ego. I want to change this. You see, most people remain under the control of the ego because we do not have the realization that I am functioning under the control of the ego, under the instructions of the ego, and that I want to change this. Without this realization, we cannot make the shift from functioning from ego to the true self. So how do we make this shift? How do we learn? How do we teach ourselves to dissolve the ego anytime we wish? Is this possible? Yes, it is. You can do it. We all have the ability to dissolve the control of the ego anytime we wish. It is our conscious awareness that is going to help us do this. What do I mean by that? Until we bring our awareness to ourselves, to where it is I'm functioning from. Say, for example, if somebody says something to me that I'm not happy about, that is not in alignment with what I want to hear. And so I'm not happy when I hear it. In such cases, what most people do is that we react, sometimes with anger, sometimes with disdain, and however it is that we may be feeling within us, it is only because we are reacting to what the other person is saying or doing. Many people would say, oh, I really don't like what he's doing, or I'm really upset because they've done this to me. So in such cases, what we're doing is simply reacting to others' actions. And as long as we remain unaware, we will continue to react, and we will continue to be happy in that reactionary lifestyle. Many people complain about a lot of things in life. About the money, about the government, about the weather. So many things to complain about every day. And although they would say that they would like a change in all of those things that they are complaining about, but they will still continue to complain because they don't know what else to do. They have not had the realization, the awareness of what I am doing to myself when I am complaining or when I'm reacting to others. This is what I mean by conscious awareness, because the day you have it, the day you have this awareness that I don't want to be this way. I don't want to react and act in this way. Because when I do, I don't feel good. This is the key point. Because when I do, I don't feel good. We have to have this realization within ourselves that when I react in anger, that anger has been triggered within me, no matter what the situation is, no matter what someone else has done or said. But when the anger is triggered within me, focus on the words within me, it means I am the one facing the consequences of that anger energy being created within myself. So if hatred, jealousy, resentment, guilt, all of these emotions have been triggered within myself due to whatever is the situation, and I realize that I don't feel good when I awaken these emotions within me. When I hold on to that resentment, when I hold on to those grudges, when I hold on to that anger, when I hold on to that guilt, when I hold on to that sadness that has been awakened within me, I don't feel good. Therefore, I just want to put them to sleep. And this is why the process of conscious awareness, living a consciously aware lifestyle, conscious living as a lifestyle, is so important to make this shift, that I don't feel good when I have these emotions triggered within me: anger, hatred, shame, guilt, resentment, grudges, sadness. All of these lower vibrating frequencies are triggered within me, and they have taken control over me, where I feel most of the time 80-90% of my life are just filled with these lower vibrating frequencies. I don't feel good in my body. I physically do not feel good. I feel heavy in my body, and I don't want to carry this heavy weight anymore. Yes, I didn't know in the past, but now I know. Now I know that I don't feel good. I feel uneasy. And this is why when people are angry, they want to take it out of their system very quickly, because it is not nice to have that anger energy within us. And that's why people act out of anger. We want to pass it on quickly to somebody else. But that's where, as a group of people, we have not learned to release these energies in the right way, so that we don't do that amongst ourselves, against each other, towards each other. As a collective, this is our responsibility now, to move into this way of thinking, to shift into a conscious lifestyle, a consciously aware lifestyle. So once you've done the first step of realization, realizing that you want to dissolve the control of the ego, and then you've taken the next step, which is, I don't want to be this way, I want to change this. And so here you are. Now you're ready to make the change. And how do we do this? So every time you feel that way, if somebody is saying something to you, or somebody's done something to you, the smallest of things in the household, in your house, in your homes, the smallest of things, you can start to practice this. For example, if your partner has done something not quite what you were thinking. So generally what happens is, if somebody has done something not to your liking, then we react very quickly with a little bit of dislike or a little bit of annoyance. And because the other person has done something for you, whether you like it or not, and then you have reacted with annoyance or dislike, the other person will get a little bit hurt. And therefore you keep throwing energy at each other. And then he or she will say, oh, ungrateful, I did that for him, I did that for her. And this is how he reacts, this is how she reacts. And then that energy comes back to you, And then you say, oh, I didn't really want it this way. And so there's a energy mudslinging that goes on, and then the room gets filled with that energy and it becomes unpleasant. And unbeknown to many, unseen to many, this is what happens in many homes. But until we have the realization that this is uncomfortable, living like this is uncomfortable, I don't feel good in my body living like this, and we continue to live like that. But here you are ready to change. So how do you change? So the next time you feel this way, and try it out in the smallest of event in your life. You have an event when something happens not to your liking. At that moment, just split yourself into two. The ego, the outer self, and the true self. The inner self, the true you. Split yourself into these two, the inner self and the outer self. And when you start to react, just say to yourself, this is not me reacting. This is the ego reacting to this situation. This is the ego reacting to what this person has done or said. This is the ego reacting to this person, not me. And then just stay in that. Ground yourself in that. Hold your ground. And very soon you will notice that something has shifted within you. So while you're doing this practice, you're doing this in your mind, you're speaking to yourself, you're splitting yourself into two. You're not going to speak anything outwardly to the other person. And this is what I mean by hold your ground. And in the meantime, you have shifted from the reactionary you to this calm observer you. You're observing that the ego is reacting because this is not to her liking. And when you make that observation, and when you perform this splitting yourself up into two, the ego is disarmed immediately. The ego loses its power straight away by doing that, because you have given up your attachment to the ego's control by simply separating yourself from the ego's reactionary habits. It's only a habit. We have just been in a habit of reacting and reacting back, reacting to each other. So once we get into this new practice, new habit of bringing your awareness every time you have a reactionary moment. If somebody is driving badly in front of you, and instead of reacting and throwing a swear word, you just hold yourself back, ground yourself, take a deep breath, release it. And then you split yourself into two. It is not me. It is the ego who is reacting to this situation. Hold your ground. And the shift is going to happen. And very soon, you'll realize, the more you practice this, you'll realize that it becomes natural to you now, that you no longer react to anything. And then the control of the ego can completely be diminished. The ego can just sit somewhere in the corner, quiet and dormant. And this is how you can dissolve the ego anytime you wish. It is time for us as a collective to step up in our functioning. Where are we functioning from? Are we functioning from a place of unconscious living? Just constantly reacting to each other without thinking of the consequences of what it does to ourselves and to the collective energy field? It is time for us to become aware and make this shift so that we can go up the next level as a group of people to the next level of becoming conscious humans, so that we can create the beautiful planet that we want to live in, full of love, full of joy, full of peace. And we can do this. Let's begin.